website where it will be capable of repeated viewing. The council's website will be updated with a hyperlink to the East Ayrshire Council YouTube channel where the video will be hosted. The recording is now begun. Thanks, Robert. And I'll bring in Julie to call for the segment, and apologies. Thanks.
Thank you and good morning, members. Provost Claire Leach.
Here.
Councillor Stephen Canning.
Present, thanks.
Councillor Ellen Friel.
I'm here, thanks, Christine.
Councillor John McFadden. Deputy Provost John McGee.
Yep.
Councillor Elaine Cowan.
Here.
Councillor David Richardson.
Present.
Councillor James Adams. Councillor Jane Sangster.
Here.
Councillor Ian Linton. Councillor Douglas Reid.
Here.
Councillor Graham Barton.
Here, Julie, thanks.
Councillor Graham Boyd.
Here, Julie, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Barry Douglas.
Here, thanks, Julie.
Councillor Neil Ingram.
Here, thanks, Julie.
Councillor Peter Maben.
Good morning, here.
Councillor Claire Maitland.
Here.
Councillor Jim Todd.
Here.
Councillor Beverly Clark.
Here.
Councillor Sally Cogley.
Here.
Councillor Kevin McGregor.
Here, thanks.
Councillor Linda Maben.
Here, thanks, Julie.
Councillor William Lennox.
Here, thanks.
Councillor Alison Simmons.
Here.
Councillor Billy Crawford. Jeez, thanks. Councillor June Kyle.
Present.
Councillor Jim McMahon.
Here, Julie, thanks.
Councillor Neil Watts.
Here, Julie, thank you.
Councillor Drew Filson.
Here.
Councillor Jennifer Hogg.
Yes, here, thanks.
And Councillor James Kyle. Thanks, members.
Thank you, Julie. Agenda item 1, declaration of interest. Oh, did you want to come in?
So, no, just I have been contacted by Councillor Ian Linton. He's trying to get out. There's something wrong with his connectivity. I don't know.
Okay, thanks, Leader. Thank you. Declaration of interest. David?
We issued the annual advice note to all members last week in terms of basically any members for the purposes of today who are in arrears of rent for either a council tenancy or a lock-up should consider their position before proceeding to vote. For the record, I'm not aware of any such members being in that position, but members know their positions better than we do. So those would be the main ones, given the only item is the paper to set the rent.
Thanks, David. Anybody need to declare an interest? Online? Okay. So we'll move on to agenda item number 2, and it's setting the house and rent levels for 2025-26, and I'll pass to Gary Craig to present the report.
Thanks, Provost, and good morning, members. Today's paper seeks approval from Council to set the housing rent levels for 25-26. The recommendations are set out within paragraph 2 of the paper, and the background to this report is outlined in paragraphs 3 to 5, which set out the statutory requirements under section 25 of the Housing Scotland Act 2001. Paragraphs 6 to 11 of the paper set out the details of the comprehensive consultation that has been undertaken, and I would highlight that this took full account of the Scottish Housing Regulator's most recent guidance on how social landlords consult tenants about rent increases. Paragraph 7 highlights that the consultation was carried out between the 2nd of December 2024 and the 21st of January 2025 inclusive, with a commitment to consult with every tenant along with every registered and non-registered tenant organisation affiliated to East Ayrshire Council. Paragraph 8 confirms that Cabinet approved the suite of housing papers presented on November 20th, 2024, which set out the options for rent increase for consultation. Proposal 1 being an increase of 7% or an average increase of £5.95 per week, and Proposal 2 being an increase of 8% or an average increase of £6.80 per week. The second proposal set out that if chosen, it would allow the delivery of a development of circa 50 new affordable homes on an unnamed site within East Ayrshire, which would be identified through the Housing Need Demand Assessment. Paragraph 9 confirms that we received a total of 1,011 responses from a total of 11,768 tenants, which was a response rate of 8.6%. Paragraph 10 confirms the feedback from the consultation, highlights that 86% of respondents chose option 1, which was an increase of 7%. 78% thought that the rent that they pay is good value. 82% of respondents were happy with the level of consultation and the information provided by the council. Paragraph 11 highlights that the biggest priorities for tenants is housing improvement, with 73% and 60% stating that new build was their priority, 18% stating environmental improvements being a priority. Paragraphs 12 to 24 set out the implications of the paper, and I would draw to your attention paragraph 14, which highlights the need to provide each tenant with a minimum of 4 weeks' notice of any rent increase in writing. The recommendations are set out in paragraph 2 and request approval to increase rents for both houses and garage lockups by 7%. And I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Hey, Gary, any questions? Leader.
So I'd just like to kind of welcome this report. This enables us to carry out the programme that we all agreed in November in terms of the HIP, the SHIP, etc. in the HAMF. It helps us to build and make our houses better and do things, quite imaginative things that we're doing in terms of buying back stock and hopefully improve. That helps us to improve the stock. My only wee worry is just an announcement this morning in terms of inflation. I'm looking for a wee bit of reassurance. Do you have any concerns at the moment in terms of the increase in inflation pressure that's been put on the programme? I think there's been discussion of getting jumping over 1% in the last week. I don't know if that's a permanent thing or just a seasonal thing. I'm just looking for a wee bit of assurance. I'm not sure Blair or yourself or the finance officer could come in just to kind of help.
Joe?
Thanks, Provost, and through you. Yep, inflation, latest forecast out this morning, it shows an increase, and the assumptions that we have, and you'll learn more about next week when we meet as council to set the revenue budget, is that forecasters predict that inflation will rise in the coming months before falling back towards the end of this month, end of this year, beginning of next year. And as inflation rises, then the purchasing power that you have then decreases. So the period over which the inflation rises will have an impact. But I suppose through careful management and that long-term plan that Blair and the team have around those 3 reports will be important to that. And that was demonstrated in the November reports when you have the timeline of both those strategic elements in terms of house building and also the elements around the HIP. So it will have an impact, but it's about management of that as we go forward.
Okay. Councillor Linton.
Provost, it was really just to apologise for my lateness in joining. I had technical issues with my 360 upgrade, so sorry for that.
No worries, you're here now. Thanks, Ian. Anybody else want to come in? No? All right then, are we happy to agree that Deputy Leader?
Thanks, Provost. It's just to talk after the back of the proposals. Consultation and how we're adhering to our tenants' wishes, as in the improvements to our stock. The new builds that were going on, I had the privilege of being out 2 weeks ago with Neil McCulloch witnessing that whole house approach and the external wraps that we're doing, the new doors, windows, and really encouraging to hear, especially for was an older resident, that she could turn down her thermostat straight away. So we get results straight away because of what's getting carried out at this time of the year. I think just after the back of that, you're going to talk a wee bit around about the tenant safety and the money goes towards that as well, with electrical checks, fire checks, around about the damn mold, the water safety checks. So it's really encouraging. We're delivering on what our tenants are looking for, and especially that mention around about the new builds and the investment for new builds and acquisitions they're in the paper as well. So really encouraged by that we're delivering on what our tenants are looking for.
No, thanks for that. Absolutely important. Everybody okay with the report? Okay, agreed. That's like the quickest council meeting ever, 10 minutes. So that concludes the business of the council meeting. I'll draw the meeting to a close. The recording of the meeting will now finish. Thank you everybody for attending.